Imagine you're holding like a 15-pound, incredibly clumsy, ridiculously cute puppy.
Oh, yeah. They're practically just living stuffed animals at that age.
Right. I mean, they are just the softest things. But now, imagine that the exact way you react to a loud noise in this very moment.
Even just a slight shift in your tone of voice.
Exactly.
Mm.
Just a tiny tone shift will directly determine whether that same dog, when it weighs 120 pounds, is a safe family companion or, well, a dangerous liability.
It is a terrifying level of responsibility when you frame it that way, honestly.
It really is.
Because we are talking about an animal that will grow to be massive. Hair is incredibly thin.
And that is exactly the core of our deep dive today. Welcome to you, the listener. Today we are digging into the clinical veterinary insights on bringing a massive guardian breed into your home, specifically the Cane Corso.
It's such an important topic.
Yeah, and the ultimate irony we found in the source material is this: people assume the hardest part of owning a dog like this is physically managing its adult protective instincts. Like physically holding back a giant guard dog.
Right, the pulling on the leash, the barking.
Right. But in reality, the critical work actually happens in those first few months when it's just a tiny puppy.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, let's unpack this because we really need to transition our mindset from that cuddly 8-week-old phase to the serious implications of puppyhood.
To set the tone for this, it is vital to understand that everything an owner does, or, crucially, everything they don't do in these first few months, is quietly building the adult dog they will live with for the next decade.
So there are basically no neutral interactions.
None. There are no completely neutral interactions during this period. Every single choice, every walk, every dropped pen in the kitchen, it's all either adding a brick to a solid psychological foundation or leaving a dangerous structural weakness.
Wow. Okay, so before we can even begin shaping the puppy's mind, we have to understand the raw material we are starting with.
Yes, the genetics.
Right, the genetics. The concept of future consequences connects directly to the very first decision an owner makes, which is choosing the breeder. And the clinical sources emphasize that with a breed this powerful, going to, like, just the first available litter on the internet is a massive mistake.
A huge mistake.
You have to vet the genetics rigorously.
Rigorous is the absolute key word there. A responsible breeder doesn't just look at a dog, decide it looks healthy, and breed it. I mean, they provide actual physical documentation of health clearances.
Not just a vet saying, oh, they look fine.
Exactly. And for a giant, fast-growing breed like the Cane Corso, the veterinary requirements are highly specific. We are looking for documented hip and elbow evaluations.
Which is an actual x-ray.
Yes. This usually involves having orthopedic specialists review x-rays to ensure the joints are structurally sound before the dog is ever bred.
The notes also highlight cardiac health and eye exams, specifically because this breed is prone to certain eyelid conditions.
Right, like cherry eye or entropion.
So if a breeder gets vague when you ask for this actual paperwork, or tries to tell you, their vet said the parents are fine, that should be an immediate deal breaker.
It really should. I mean, you are trying to stack the deck in your favor before the puppy is even born, but the physical genetics are only half the equation. You also have to evaluate the behavioral blueprint.
Which is hard because when you are observing a litter, the natural human instinct is to just pick the puppy that waddles over and falls asleep on your shoe.
Of course it is. That's what we all want to do.
But our veterinary sources recommend a much more analytical approach, utilizing something called the startle test. And I found the mechanics of this test fascinating.
It's a brilliant tool.
Yeah, so you are observing the litter, and you intentionally drop an object like a set of keys or a metal bowl. You aren't trying to terrify them, just create a sudden, sharp noise.
Right, a novel stimulus.
Exactly. And a confident puppy's nervous system processes that event quickly. They might jump, sure, but they recover almost instantly and trot over to investigate the object.
Whereas a fearful puppy stays completely rattled, they might cower or hide, and they just cannot shake that fight or flight response.
That recovery time is everything, isn't it?
It's everything. It tells you exactly how that dog's brain processes novel, potentially threatening stimuli. If they can't recover from a dropped set of keys at 8 weeks old, imagine how their brain will process a delivery driver dropping a heavy package on your porch when the dog weighs over 100 pounds.
That's a scary thought. But how do you physically evaluate a puppy on site beyond that behavioral check? Because the text mentions looking for clear eyes, no obvious limping, a healthy weight.
Which is all true.
but it feels like, kicking the tires on a car. It tells you a little bit about the exterior, but you still need a mechanic to look under the hood within the first few days.
That is a highly accurate way to look at it, actually. Visual checks are necessary but inherently limited. A puppy can look perfectly vibrant while harboring underlying congenital issues that only a clinician can detect.
So you have to go to a professional.
The real confirmation has to come from your veterinarian doing a comprehensive physical exam almost immediately after bringing the puppy home.
Okay, so once you have that healthy genetic baseline, you bring this tiny tank of a puppy home, and the physical transformation begins. And this leads to a phenomenon the sources highlight that I am calling the 18-month illusion.
I like that term. It fits perfectly.
The visual appearance of a growing Corso is entirely deceptive, and that deception dictates incredibly strict rules for their physical management, right?
This is where so many well-meaning owners accidentally damage their dogs. A Cane Corso will look adult-sized with a massive head and thick musculature long before it actually is mature.
Right. They look like a full-grown dog at, 8 months.
Exactly. They grow rapidly in those first 6 months, but underneath that muscle, their skeleton and their growth plates aren't fully matured and fused until they are 18 to 24 months old.
Wait, hold on. This is a massive, muscular working dog. Doesn't logic dictate that more calories and faster growth equal a stronger adult dog?
It seems logical, right?
Yeah, you want to feed the machine to build a powerful animal.
It seems completely logical, but biologically, it is a dangerous trap. Accelerated growth puts immense, unnatural stress on unfinished joints.
Oh, because the skeleton can't handle it.
Right. If you push the calorie intake to make the dog bigger faster, the muscles might grow, but the skeletal structure cannot keep up. Those open growth plates are essentially just soft cartilage at the ends of the long bones.
Soft cartilage, wow.
Yeah. They simply cannot handle the extra weight and force of an artificially accelerated body.
So by trying to build a stronger dog, you are actually warping the foundation.
Precisely. Rapid growth driven by overfeeding large breed puppies is directly associated with severe orthopedic issues later in life.
Things like hip dysplasia.
Hip dysplasia, debilitating arthritis, you name it. You have to utilize a large breed formulated food designed specifically for a steady, controlled growth rate. You actually want them to grow as slowly as genetically possible.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the danger of those invisible, soft growth plates extends directly into how they exercise.
It changes everything about their routine.
The text states exercise needs to be heavily controlled and low impact. We are talking short leash walks and supervised yard play. But critically, no forced running alongside bicycles and absolutely no jumping off couches or out of truck beds.
Think about the pure physics involved here. You have a heavy-boned, 70-pound puppy that is only, say, 8 months old.
Right.
When that dog jumps out of a truck bed and lands on the pavement, massive kinetic force is driven straight up through the front limbs.
And because those joints haven't fused.
But because they haven't fused into solid bone yet, that force crushes right into the soft cartilage of the growth plate.
It's wild to think of a dog that looks like a literal tank, but has the structural fragility of soft clay inside.
It's a huge contrast.
Managing the environment with ramps or steps makes a profound difference in their adult quality of life. But protecting their physical joints is really only half the battle.
Yeah.
Protecting and shaping their mind is where the real stakes lie.
Without a doubt.
Because while the body takes 2 full years to form, the psychological window closes incredibly fast.
The time frame is shockingly brief. The critical mental scaffolding is built during a socialization window that starts roughly around 3 weeks of age and slams shut around 12 to 14 weeks.
That is barely any time at all. I mean, you get the puppy at 8 weeks, so you have a month.
Basically, yes, a month.
And the veterinary guidelines for this window are rigorous. It requires controlled, low-pressure exposure to different people, sounds, and surfaces. But you have to do this in low-risk environments, like a trusted friend's private yard.
Right, because of disease risk.
Yeah, because you have to socialize them before the full 16-week vaccination series is even complete.
It is a really delicate balance of risks, which is why consulting your specific vet on local disease prevalence like parvo is absolutely mandatory.
You can't just keep them locked inside.
No, because the behavioral risk of missing that socialization window is catastrophic for a guardian breed. During those specific weeks, a puppy's brain is highly elastic and curious. It is building a massive database of what is safe.
And then the window closes.
Once that window closes, the brain's default reaction to any new stimulus shifts from curiosity to fear and self-preservation.
Which brings us to the socialization paradox mentioned in the sources. A lot of owners think exposing the dog to strangers early on will ruin its guardian instinct.
They think it'll make the dog too friendly.
Right. They want a tough guard dog, so they deliberately isolate it to keep it suspicious of outsiders.
What's fascinating here is how fundamentally that approach misunderstands canine psychology. Socialization does not, and honestly cannot, erase genetics.
The instinct is always there.
A Cane Corso is hardwired at a cellular level to protect its family. What socialization actually does is teach the dog what is normal in human society.
So they know the baseline.
Exactly. If they have a huge database of normal sights, sounds, and human behaviors, they can accurately identify when a situation is genuinely abnormal or threatening.
I love the analogy of calibrating a high-tech alarm system. You aren't turning the alarm off by socializing them. You're calibrating the sensors so the siren doesn't go off every single time the wind blows a leaf across the yard or the mail carrier drops off a letter.
That captures the mechanism perfectly. Under-socialized dogs don't become better, more effective guardians. They become fearful, anxious, and unpredictable.
Because everything is scary.
Because, to their uncalibrated brains, literally everything looks like a life or death threat. And we see owners accidentally making this fear worse all the time through their own reactions.
Ah, the coddling response.
Yes,
When a puppy gets nervous around a stranger or a loud noise, human instinct is to immediately scoop them up, pull them close, and use this high-pitched, soothing, worried tone. Like, oh, it's okay, don't be scared, you're fine.
Right.
Which sounds completely loving and natural to us.
To us, yes, because we use language to convey comfort, but dogs communicate primarily through energy, tone, and body language.
So they interpret that differently.
Very differently. When you scoop up a frightened puppy and use a high-pitched, worried tone, you aren't comforting them. You are validating their terror.
Wow.
Your dramatic action tells the puppy's brain, you are absolutely right to be terrified of that person wearing a hat. It was a life or death situation, and I am panicked too.
We're essentially rewarding the fear response.
Completely.
So how should an owner react when the puppy gets spooked? Let's say a garbage truck goes by and it bangs loudly.
They must remain perfectly calm and neutral. Do not force the puppy toward the scary object, but absolutely do not scoop them up.
Just ignore it.
Let the puppy observe the stimulus from a safe distance and approach at its own pace. Confidence is built through calm observation and realizing the threat isn't real. It's not built through being coddled during a moment of panic.
We are literally transferring our own anxiety straight down the leash.
We really are.
So, okay, once we've calibrated their view of the outside world, how do we establish a safe, predictable environment inside the home?
This is where management comes in.
Yeah, the transition from outside exposure to inside management requires immense consistency. Take house training, for example. The sources make a crucial point about canine memory, which is that punishing an accident after the fact completely destroys trust.
This comes down to the mechanics of associative memory in dogs. Their window for connecting a behavior to a consequence is roughly 2 to 3 seconds.
2 to 3 seconds, that's nothing.
It's a flash. So if they urinate on the rug and you find it 10 minutes later and yell at them, they do not connect your anger to the act of peeing.
They just know you're mad.
They simply learn that when a puddle is present on the floor, their owner becomes dangerously volatile and unpredictable.
They just think you have rage issues regarding wet spots on the rug.
Exactly.
A Corso needs a calm, consistent leader, not an erratic one. And to manage that environment, the notes highly recommend crate training as a safe retreat.
It's essential.
But I have to ask, for a breed this massive, bred specifically to patrol and guard large estates, isn't locking them in a crate a bit restrictive? Like, shouldn't they be out guarding the living room?
If you are talking about a fully trained, mature adult with impulse control, perhaps. But we are talking about a puppy.
Right.
A crate is not a punishment. It is a vital management tool. A teething Cane Corso puppy left unsupervised can destroy a couch, chew through live electrical wires, or swallow something that requires a massive, life-threatening intestinal surgery.
Which happens way more often than people think.
Constantly. The crate prevents the puppy from practicing destructive habits, and crucially, it prevents them from hurting itself during the times you cannot actively supervise them.
That reframes it entirely. It's about physical safety, not confinement.
Exactly.
And speaking of teething, bite inhibition is heavily emphasized in the clinical notes. Puppies explore the world with their mouths, but an adult Corso bite is a serious life-altering liability.
It's a massive risk.
You have to teach them early by redirecting them to toys and immediately ending play the exact second their teeth touch human skin. You can't let it slide just because it's a cute 10-week-old puppy gnawing on your finger.
The biological reality here is that puppies have sharp needle teeth but relatively weak jaw muscles.
Right.
It is the perfect developmental window for them to learn that human skin is fragile and that applying pressure makes the fun stop. If they don't learn the physical limits of their bite, then they won't magically know it when their adult jaw matures and is capable of snapping a femur.
Yikes. And that structure has to apply to household introductions as well. With kids, the priority isn't just hoping the dog is nice to the kid.
No, it's a two-way street.
It's actively teaching the children not to snatch toys or climb on the puppy. You are setting mutual boundaries so the dog never feels the need to defend itself.
And for other animals, the management is just as strict. Meeting other dogs should happen in structured, well-run puppy classes.
Not at the dog park.
Not by throwing them into chaotic dog parks where they might have a traumatic experience they will remember forever. With cats, early gradual introductions with a guaranteed escape route for the cat are mandatory.
Because if the cat runs, the dog's prey drive kicks in.
Exactly. If a puppy grows up with a resident cat and learns to be calm around it, you avoid the high arousal chasing mode that can happen if an adult Corso meets a cat for the first time. It is all about proactive management before the dog has the size to do real damage.
So you've built the foundation. You vetted the genetics. You managed the delicate physical growth to protect those soft joints. You laid the mental scaffolding through careful socialization. And you established ironclad house rules.
You're doing great.
You feel like a master dog trainer. But just when you think you've succeeded, the dog's biology flips the script entirely. Enter the teenage rebellion.
Yes. Adolescence. It hits around 6 months of age and can last well past a year, depending on the dog, and it completely catches unprepared owners off guard.
The clinical notes say the dog develops selective hearing. They start testing boundaries they already know perfectly well, and they begin showing that independent, working breed mindset. So what does this all mean? How can an owner mentally prepare for a seemingly perfect, obedient puppy who suddenly looks right at them and completely ignores a known command?
Well, first, they need to realize it is not a failure of their training, and the dog is not doing it out of spite.
It's not them being stubborn just to be mean.
No, it is a normal biological phase. Their brain is literally rewiring itself. They are experiencing a surge of hormones, and their brain begins prioritizing new environmental stimuli over previously learned behaviors.
Okay, that makes sense.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, every single thing we have discussed today, the careful socialization, the joint protection, the strict boundaries, the crate training, all of it is just an investment to ensure you survive this exact teenage phase without the dog becoming a danger.
So the owners who get discouraged because the dog is suddenly ignoring them and who let the structure slip because they are just exhausted, they are the ones who are going to struggle long term.
Without a doubt, if you let the rules slide during adolescence because you are tired, the dog learns that boundaries are optional when they push back.
They learn that they can win.
Exactly. But the owners who stay consistent, who double down on calm, neutral leadership, even when the teenage dog is testing them daily, those are the owners who emerge on the other side of adolescence with a highly stable, reliable adult dog.
It really is a crucible. The first year of a Cane Corso's life isn't about enjoying a cute, fluffy phase while taking endless photos for social media.
Not at all.
It is a rigorous foundational building project. Every walk, every meal, every reaction you have to a startling noise is a brick in the foundation of the animal you will live with for a decade.
It is a tremendous amount of work, and it requires intense dedication. But doing it correctly, understanding the why behind the rules, and watching that incredible development happen is profoundly rewarding.
And before we wrap, our source text strongly advises consulting your own veterinarian for specific medical concerns. Things like exact vaccine schedules and parasite prevention depend heavily on your specific geographic region and the individual dog.
Yes, always defer to your clinical professional for medical care. That localized veterinary guidance is irreplaceable.
Absolutely. But I want to leave you, our listener, with a lingering thought today, inspired by the mechanics of that socialization paradox.
This is a good point.
We explored how an owner scooping up a nervous puppy and using a worried, high-pitched tone can completely rewrite the confidence and threat assessment of a massive working dog, essentially validating their fear. It makes you wonder if our micro-reactions and slight shifts in tone of voice can alter the psychology of a completely different species so profoundly. How much of our own unexamined everyday anxiety are we subconsciously projecting onto our pets?
Wow.
And maybe even the people around us without ever realizing it. Are we building strong foundations in our daily interactions, or are we passing on our own cracks? Something to think about.